My name's Harry Gambaradella. I've been here before, done this, but yeah, it was the summer of my 16th birthday. School just got out. I was desperate for a job, absolutely desperate. My family had no money. I had no money. The only wheels I had were on the bicycle that I got when I was in 8th grade. So I looked all through my town. I lived in East Haven. We looked all through my town. I asked a lot of people, nothing in East Haven. So went to Brantford. As anybody knows, Brantford's about 6-8 miles away. I had no idea how I was going to get back and forth, even if I got a job. But I went into a place called the Food Basket. The Food Basket was really an old mom and pop store that had been modernized. It looked kind of like a miniature Stop and Shop. Had all the necessary departments. I went to speak to a Mr. Barone. He was in charge of everything. There were no department heads. Nothing. He was in charge. And he had a little office above everybody with a glass window. And he sat up there with his cigar and looked down on everybody. Looking like that. I talked to him for a few minutes and explained to him I had never had a job before, so he decided that he'd hire me, and I was going to make 75 cents an hour. That was the going rate in 1956. So, but he promised me that after 30 days, if I did a good job, that I would be given a raise of 25 cents. That's a lot of money back then. So, my job was to work with produce. There were 3 of us in produce. Julie, who got all the produce ready in the back. She was about 22, high school dropout, 3 kids. And then there was John up front. He was really tall, and he could reach every part of the counter. Since I was a lot shorter than him, my job was with the floor. You see, I cleaned up everything. Julie's mess, John's mess, people's mess. I lugged things around, etc. So the store had wooden floors. One of my jobs was to actually clean off the floors, sweep them, and then swab them with bleach and water, because there's germs all over those damn floors. And it gets rid of the cockroaches, too. Okay, so that's what I did. Ruined a couple of pairs of shoes that way, too. Anyway, I worked there for about a month. And the time came when I thought that I would be getting a raise automatically. We had to punch in and out. And, they knew how many hours you were working. I was working 40 hours. So you got paid on payday with a little envelope which had handwritten stuff on it, and gave you the total after taxes and whatnot. 40 hours, I think I made about $22. But, after a month, I thought it was going to be automatic. I'm going to get a raise. And I didn't. Every week I got paid in that little brown envelope, but the month went by and no raise. So I went to see Mr. Barone, and he said that, what raise? I don't remember no raise. What the hell are you talking about, kid? Why don't you go back and do your job, will you? So I did. Worked for another week. And I said, I went up to him, Mr. Barone, you promised me that I was going to get a raise if I did a good job. Oh, yeah, I remember that. By the way, he looked a lot like Al Capone. Sounded like him a little bit, too. I never really talked about Al Capone. But later on, I found out he looked a lot more like the Penguin in the Batman movie. Anyway, the raise was not there. This went around for about 3 weeks after. It was the middle of August sometime. And I got really disgusted with it. I hadn't told my parents anything about it. They didn't know anything about it. I'm the man. I'm going to take care of myself. So they just picked me up at 6 o'clock. That's when the store closed. And I went home. And I just looked forward to the next day. I would have been happy if I got the raise, but I didn't. 3 weeks went by. I finally went up to Mr. Barone, said, you know what? If I don't get the raise, I said, I'm leaving. He said, where are you going to work, kid? Who's going to take you this time of year? You know the summer's almost over. What the hell's the matter with you? Go back and do your job, will you? You missed a spot on the floor over there. Go. So I was disgusted, and I told him, I said, well, okay, this the last pay I got, similar to the one before that. I'm supposed to get paid. No pay. I said, well, I'm leaving. I said, that's it. Today's my last day. Oh, is that the way it is, huh? All right, well, come and see me Monday. I think I might. I got to think about it. He says, come and see me Monday morning. So I said, I can't. All right, come in Monday. Come in Monday. He said, first thing in the morning. I said to him, what's the deal? Am I going to get the raise or not? He said, why don't you see me at the end of the day? I haven't even had time to think about this. Okay. So I see him at the end of the day. You know what? I don't see a raise. You know, I don't see that at this time. He says, because I don't think you're doing that good a job anyway. Okay, I'm out of here. I said, when can I pick up my pay? He says, what pay? I said, well, I worked today, didn't I? Today's my last day. I said, you said I was going to get a raise. I didn't get a raise. Today's my last day. So he says, well, I don't know. He says, how about tomorrow? I said, all right. I go in the next day. I'm not working. Just went in to see him. Where's my pay? He gives me the pay, and he says, you know what? He says, I only got today's pay. That's it. He says, you're not getting a raise. Nothing. He says, that's it. No back pay, nothing. Okay. I walked right out of the place. I'm waiting in front of the store. It's about 5:10 after 6. My father's not there yet. He's supposed to pick me up. I'm walking back and forth. On a whim, I just went by the police station, the Brantford police station, and I remembered that a couple of weeks before, my cousin Mary Lou had gotten married to a patrolman. And Mary Lou, I'm trying to remember, oh yeah, the guy was named Capasso. So I walked into the police station. I have no idea why. And there he was at the desk. I said, hi. He said, hi, I know you. I said, yeah, you know me. I said, I was at your wedding a couple of weeks back. Oh, what's the problem? So I told him the whole story. He said, you working for Barone? I said, yeah. He said, come with me. We went back. It's like 20 after 6. He knocks on the door because the store's closed. Barone almost ate his cigar when he saw us coming. He opened the door and he said, oh, there you are. You left too soon. He says, I got the money for you. Hey, Gene, get the money for the kid, will you? So 5 minutes later, Gene comes out with the brown paycheck. There you go. He says, there you go. He says, all back pay too. I said, well, wait a minute. I looked at it. Where's today's pay? Oh, you want to get paid for today too? I said, yeah, I worked for today. I worked today. He had to go back, and Gene had to get the envelope. Another one, small one, about $4 in it. So Capasso says to me, Officer Capasso says, is everything okay? You happy now? I said, yeah. Barone says, everything okay? Everything okay, kid? Says, going to be into work tomorrow? I said, no, I told you I'm quitting. That's it. Forget about it. See you later. Okay, so we walk out. By that time, my father's there. My father says, what the hell are you doing with the cop? What did you do wrong? So I said, nothing. Got into the car, explained it all to him. The best part was when we got home. My mother says, you're very late. I said, what's the deal? I said, well, we had a few things to do. I told my father not to say anything to my mother. My mother's a little bit, excited about this kind of stuff. So she says, you got a phone call today. I said, really? I said, who did you get the phone call from? It turns out that the First National in our town called me, asked me if I wanted a job. My mother said, sure he would. Why not? Sure. I got hired, started that Monday, $1.15 per hour.